Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel. Thank you for joining me as we look at yet another game in the What Is It and Is It Worth It game review series. As always, we will be looking at the game in as story spoiler free way as possible, and I'll do my best to present the game objectively. What do I mean by objectively? Well, simply put, video games, as with nearly any form of art or entertainment, is a subjective and personal experience. It's basically impossible to numerically measure any part of the game, and so assigning a number value as a rating is completely arbitrary and, well, pointless. Because of that, we aren't going to do that in this video. Instead, I'll try to present what the game is and the experience you can expect, so you can make your own conclusion on if it's worth it for you. At the end of the video, I will give my own opinion if I enjoyed it, and if I would recommend it, or at least which gamers I think might enjoy the title. Fantasy, abrasive humor, and stealth. Today we're looking at Styx Master of Shadows, a game that released in 2014, being developed by Cyanide, and published by Focus Home Interactive. So what is Styx Master of Shadows? Has it held up over the years, and is it worth picking up for a first-time player now? If you found yourself asking those questions, well, you're in luck, because today we're going over everything you need to know in order to decide that for yourself. Best of all, we're going to try and stay as story spoiler free as possible and try to remain objective so that we can attempt to answer the most important question of all asked in this review series. Is this one worth it for you? Sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Styx Master of Shadows is the second game released in this franchise, with the first game released being of Orcs and Men. Though a sequel in terms of release date, this game is actually a prequel in the timeline of the series. The general plot of this game begins with Styx, a goblin, who is able to get into the flying fortress known as the Tower of Akanash. The fortress is built around the World Tree, and it is revealed in the opening cutscene of the game that Styx has come here with the intentions of reaching and stealing the heart of the tree. Now, to stay spoiler free, I'm going to keep this simple. If you've already played through the game, you'll likely understand where this can get a little confusing. But if you haven't yet, don't worry. This will suffice to give you an idea, and just experience the subtleties as the game unfolds. The details will get explained as you play through the game. Anyway, with that caveat out of the way, the player will take control of Styx and use his abilities as an assassin, as well as his arcane powers to stealthily traverse the many areas of the fortress to ultimately reach his goal of the heart of the World Tree. In terms of mechanics, we're looking at a core stealth game. There is some combat, however this should typically be avoided when possible, as all but the very weakest of enemies will be stronger than you. That doesn't mean you can't prevail over the stronger enemies, but typically it means entering into a simple combat situation where you will need to first parry attacks before Styx will get an opening to make an attack himself. There is no charging in attacks, it's mostly a waiting game for your opportunity. Your enemies, however, being that they are stronger physically, will usually just keep trying to hit Styx, without such need for an opening, though a couple of enemies will have unique combat features. Aside from avoidance and simple combat, enemies will ideally be dispatched when necessary through stealth assassinations, or by creating accidents by using the environment to your advantage. Additionally, climbing, hiding, and seeking out specific objects will feature prominently as key mechanics within the game. All of this will be played out in a third-person perspective, and within explorable level zones. The game is not open world, and is instead broken into level zones. Each of these zones, however, are open for exploration within, and are surprisingly large for a game of this type, being filled with collectibles and other goodies. Each zone or chapter of the game is broken into about 4 smaller levels within each chapter, typically with their own unique areas for exploration, though there is sometimes backtracking over level areas involved. Between each chapter, you will need to get Styx to his hideout, where you can stock up on supplies such as health or amber potions, amber being the substance that fuels arcane abilities, as well as being able to purchase new skills in a simple RPG system. The skill trees are not very large and only have a single branch in each category, but these upgrades can be very helpful in building your character and playing to your own strengths when playing the game. Graphics are pretty good. They're fairly simple and are showing their age, especially when it comes to NPCs. The environments are mostly all quite similar, being broken into open-air fortress areas, as well as interior or dungeon-type areas, and some of the world tree style of zones near the end. Although simplistic, they do get the job done and convey the tone of the game very well. A nice surprise was that I didn't run into any graphical bugs or glitches that tend to be common with games of this era. For example, I didn't get stuck into the environment or fall through into oblivion, which unfortunately is all too common with games of this era. Really, this one didn't give me anything in this technical side to complain about, and everything seemed to work quite well as intended. So other features in this game, or what sets it apart? Probably the mix of stealth and what the game refers to as arcane abilities. These abilities are typically things that are going to enhance the player's ability to do things unnoticed or improve the likelihood of stealthy actions succeeding. Examples of active abilities are things like being able to go invisible for a few seconds, or special amber vision, which allows the player to spot important things, enemies, or objectives. The passive skills are rather orthodox for this type of game. Carry more of X, such as daggers or potions. There are a few other things to play around with here, but for the most part everything is just improvements or extras and not essential for getting through the game, as proper use of stealth and timing can typically negate the need to rely on these to carry you through a level. Aside from those more practical examples, something that seems to set this apart is necessity of stealth. There has been other games like this, but I do find the style to be more rare. Typically in a stealth game, stealth is implied or encouraged as the core strategy, but the player typically has some backup options for dealing with threats in a loud fashion. In Styx, this is usually only going to get you killed unless you have impeccable timing with parries. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but going the non-stealthy route for the average player in this title would be exceedingly more difficult than many of its contemporaries. Music in this game is really quirky, but it fits the overall atmosphere and tone of the game quite well. Dialogue between NPCs is fairly limited, but usually on the humorous or dark humor side of things. The delivery being overall quite good. Styx himself is full of abrasive comments, dark humor, and quips about his situation. I would say the delivery of Styx dialogue is an acquired taste, however this is going to be totally subjective to the player. Personally, I found that I wasn't too sure of it in the beginning, but as the game continued on, I felt more and more affection toward this particular style of comments and their delivery.
My head. Fucking headache. I gotta get me some amber. Hello, Rakash. I need your rotten carcass. Ugh. Damn it, I hate doing that.
You wouldn't have a small vial for a poor arsehole who was about to die of boredom?
Of course, and biscuits to go with it. What, do you think you're at the market?
What, are you shitting me? And to think that some said that I was too careful. At least I'm not rotting in some dungeon. There's some good to be said for the sewers, don't you think?
We got lucky, you mean?
In any case, this information is priceless. If I can do something for you, just ask.
As it happens, I'd like you to help me to go somewhere.
So, my friend, where are you off to this time?
In prison.
What? In prison? It's a bit like stepping into the lion's den, wouldn't you say?
When I step into a lion's den, it's to fuck a lion.
So what games are we going to compare this one to? Well, it's obviously going to have some similarities to other stealth games. One that I have covered on the channel that is similar is games from the Deus Ex series. Obviously, there's major setting differences, as Styx is a fantasy game with goblins, elves, and orcs, whereas Deus Ex is a sci-fi tech noir, but the reliance on stealth mechanics to play through level zones, having a good amount of freedom of how to actually go about completing objectives, as well as some similarity between Styx's unlockable abilities and Jensen's augments, make this a comparable title. You can always look back to other stealth games like Thief or the Splinter Cell series, but the main mechanics difference is again going to be the fact that Styx is physically not able to engage with enemies the same way as protagonists in these other games can. It is possible to go toe-to-toe with an enemy, but it really boils down to just parrying or dodging until there's a weak spot Styx can exploit, rather than having the ability to go on the offensive. Styx wants to be unseen, and his attacks are best done as a takedown from the shadows. So now that we've looked at some of the features of the game, we reach the point of my review where I give a more subjective look at my personal experience with it. Please keep in mind that the following is just my opinion of the game, and if the features and genre seem interesting to you, you should definitely check it out for yourself, as not all games are for all gamers. The game that you hate might be the next gamer's all-time favorite, which is one of the things that I love about gaming. There's always something for someone out there. So did I enjoy Styx Master of Shadows, and do I recommend it for the first-time player? This one can be fun and has enough to make it a unique choice that I would say yes. Though it has similarities to stealth games, it never really crosses over into that gray area most stealth games do, giving the player the option to go loud in trouble. Instead, you must stay stealthy, and if discovered, it's best to avoid combat, run away, and try to hide, so you can come back again in a stealthy way to eliminate your enemies. It's also not like games such as Outlast, where you're completely defenseless, as Styx is able to do takedowns or get other assassination style kills. The story can be somewhat odd and at times is a little ambiguous as to what is really going on or what your motivations are, but this also serves to help keep the mystery and will drive the player to push ahead to learn what is actually happening. Styx's crude humor may not be for everyone, but it does seem more endearing as you continue through the game. The level zones being so large allow for substantially more exploration than expected in a title such as this, and though I didn't feel particularly driven to find the collectibles, they are available as a challenge for completionist players. This game will appeal to those who like a core stealth game with an old school gaming feel, splitting the game up into clearly defined level zones and offering a definite linear storyline to play through. I really hope you enjoyed this look at Styx Master of Shadows. Have you already played through this one? What were your own thoughts on the game? Did you agree or disagree with my own assessment of it? If you disagreed, let me know why. Maybe there's something I didn't think of and you can convince me. I'd love to hear about your own experiences down in the comments, or if my review showcase was helpful, I'd like to know if you decided to go ahead with it or not. Either way, if you found this video interesting or entertaining, please let me know with a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I make and upload a variety of gaming content, not just reviews like this, but also walkthroughs, mod showcases, let's play, and more. And I'd love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.
The atrium of Akanash. A world shut inside another. This is what humans do when they don't understand a thing. They build walls around it. They put locks on the doors, and they put soldiers in front of those doors. The bigger the secret, the bigger the lock. And the craziest are those who want to pick it. May my ancestors forgive me. I'm one of those, to my misfortune. My name is Styx.